Greetings, kindred spirits. As well as the new moon, we are also entering into the Chinese New Year of the Pig. So with my Western accent, Gung Hei Fat Choi, which means wishing you great happiness and prosperity. I have received a few messages lately about my monthly horoscopes that I was doing up until around about June, July last year. Actually, I used to do them per star sign season, but I had to take a break from them because at that time I was feeling really burnt out. You know, they do take a lot of time, and at present, 13 Star Sign Astrology isn't my main source of income, although I do love it with a passion and hoping that it will be one day. I did actually do the horoscopes for the full moon lunar eclipse, but didn't get a chance to record them or even edit them, but I did post them up on my FB page rather than let them go to waste. And also because a few people did reach out and inquire about them. You know, I won't be doing them monthly anymore, but I am going to try and fit them in around the moon energy updates. You know, but I will post them separately with timestamps. So please do forgive me if I'm not able to do them every time, you know. But I promise that I will do my best to do them and get them out to you all. You know, and thank you all so much for your love and support. So the new moon this month will begin in Capricorn on the 4th of February at 21:03 in the GMT time zone, at 16:03 in the EDT time zone, and for all my Aussie friends out there, the new moon will begin on the 5th of February at 8:03 in the AEDT time zone. You know, this new moon, you know, it does hold some intense and deep energy. Not necessarily dense as it was last month. I would say that it's more of a challenging energy. We have the usual Grand Cross that has been ongoing since June last year. Well, it's been shape-shifting from a T-square to a Grand Cross. But we also have a Yod this new moon, which is a very triggering energy. Also, our moon is in conjunction to both Mercury and the Black Moon Lilith, which just adds to the intensity and confusion. But first I'm going to start with the Yod's aspects, because this is an energy that is more triggering and challenging, you know, and it's got, it's with the goddess Pallas in the firing line. Pallas is also included in the Grand Cross, so it makes this particular energy more significant for us to be aware of, especially as Pallas represents our wisdom, our independence, our creative intelligence, and the ability to see the bigger picture. The Yod is formed by Juno, Chiron, and of course Pallas. Juno is in Taurus, and Juno represents fairness, partnerships, but also a fear of abandonment. And in Taurus, shows a need for us to feel safe within our relationships. Chiron, which represents our deepest wound, is in Pisces, and suggests that there is great difficulty in us being able to maintain our sense of self and individuality due to grief, pain, or oversensitivity. Chiron represents the wound that never heals, but also shows us our healing abilities and how we can be of service to others. Both Chiron and Juno are in sextile, which means that we have great opportunities to release some very deep wounds with the support and understanding that is needed, especially by those we are close to. But because they are both in quincunx to Pallas in Virgo, we may be just too blind to recognise the support that we are being given because we are so focused on the details rather than seeing the whole. For some, it could be that the pain is just too deep and overwhelming. Pallas herself is all about wisdom, strategy, and seeing the bigger picture. In Virgo, Pallas offers us the power of discrimination and analysation. With this grand aspect, we must beware of adopting a victim mentality and recognise the root cause of our emotional patterns, especially when it comes to intimate relationships. So we could be dealing with fears of abandonment, self-defensiveness, and rejecting our divine feminine energy, which is our spiritual energy. The Grand Cross is also at play here when it comes to Pallas, with the North Node, Uranus and Mars, Pluto and Pallas all in square to each other. Except Mars and Uranus are co-joined at one corner of the square. And because Pallas is in the firing line of the Yod, I feel that her part in this grand square is more prominent. But on the whole, I would say that a lot of us are in danger of going over the top when it comes to pushing boundaries. Emotions are likely to run high and uncontrollable again, especially when it comes to close relationships. There seems to be a serious lack of confidence with this grand aspect, or an over-judgmental attitude where we really do need to look in the mirror at our own reflection before reflecting our own personal dislikes onto another. There will be a great need for realism and practicality, but the urge to rebel against this will be intense. Meditation is so important for many at this time, and has been for, quite a while. And the reason why these aspects will be so intense is because the Black Moon Lilith will be in conjunction to both our Sun, Moon and Mercury, all in Capricorn, who is ruled by Saturn. As it is, the Moon in Capricorn can often take life a little bit too seriously, and normally focuses more on the material rather than the spiritual. In a negative sense, she can be cold and detached with a selfish attitude. And because the aspects are so tense, I really do feel that this is more relevant this new moon. In conjunction to Mercury and the Black Moon Lilith, our emotional nature is likely to be amplified, where our fears and phobias are likely to surface. When we speak, we will be speaking with great depth of feeling, which can trigger others or be taken the wrong way. With the Black Moon Lilith in Capricorn, we are in danger of enforcing our demands onto others, wearing them down and, draining their personal energy. And I'm not saying that this applies to all of us, because if it's not us ourselves inflicting these emotional displays, then we can definitely be on the receiving end of it. We must be aware of our high expectations, especially when it comes to our expectations of others. But amongst all this, there are some great opportunities for us to consider. Firstly, though, I would recommend that we retreat into a meditative state as often as possible and use the Moon and Mercury's sextile to Jupiter, who is currently in Ophiuchus. And Ophiuchus represents divine feminine, Christ consciousness and our inner temple. She is offering us the opportunity to listen without judgment, show understanding without rising to any challenges that stem from negative behaviour, and to remain in a state of serenity. And that won't be easy to do. She also gives us the strength to allow those who are going through this intense and emotional time to release their burdens without taking it personally. And that will take great strength to be on the receiving end of this, but it will pass quite quickly. The tension that is arising is also emphasised by the upcoming Mars-Uranus conjunction. And to go a little bit more into detail here, Uranus's energy can be very electric, and in the true lifetime sky, she has just recently re-entered back into Aries, which is a fire sign. So her energy is also firing up the Aryan energy, which can be quite fierce. Mars is the ruler of Aries and has been transiting through Pisces in the true lifetime sky. And Pisces is a water sign ruled by Neptune, who is at present transiting through Aquarius. And Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. So I really feel that this Mars-Uranus conjunction will be quite mind-blowing with a strong psychic intuition. Whilst Mars has been in Pisces, we have been kinda lost when it comes to our life's direction, submerged into the depths of our soul for spiritual growth that really has been needed. But fire submerged in water can put out the flame, so many of us have been having to surrender to the unknown, and this will of course depend on your own personal chart. I myself am an Aquarian moon, so I've been feeling this Uranian energy. But if say you are an Aries sun or moon, or have a strong Aries in your chart, then wow, you guys have had to do some very deep soul searching. And Pisces as well. I mean, you've had no choice but to go into the depths of your soul, because Mars is active, so it's been activating this energy for you. But it's all going to change, because once Mars hits Uranus, this is fire coming out of water into fire. And not just fire alone, but electrical fire, which tells me that there's a storm brewing, and it's likely to be one hell of a lightning strike. And I really do feel that a lot of people are feeling this. But I do feel positive about it, because it's a shift forward. And the last year or so has been very tense, because when there is something brewing in the air and the air is stagnant, but we can feel something brewing and we're sitting on the edges of our seat in anticipation, it's normally such a relief to get it over and done with. We have to understand that many are very empathic and are picking up on this electrifying energy of Mars-Uranus conjunction already, because they're coming close now. So we must show compassion and support quietly and lovingly. And if it does get too much, then we must know when to back off and retreat into the shadows for our own self-salvation, because the Capricorn moon's energy this month can be very selfish and demanding, sometimes to the point that goes beyond what is humanly possible. Saturn and Pluto will be coming into conjunction in early 2020 in the sign of Sagittarius in the true lifetime sky. And I really do feel that this Mars-Uranus conjunction is preparing us for some even bigger changes that are going to be taking place on a global level. Actually, I'm going to be doing another Facebook Live with my soul sister Catherine Kinney from Cosmic Numerology, hopefully in about a week's time. So basically that's to give everyone a heads up for some key numerological dates in 2019 up until the Saturn-Pluto conjunction in 2020, from both a numerological and 13 star sign perspective. And I will send out the notification once we have organised and confirmed a date. Also, because I am now back doing the horoscopes, it would be good for those of you that don't know your 13 star sign, sun, moon and rising, to have that information, so you can see how the planets are affecting not just your sun sign, but also your moon and rising. And I'm planning to do an FB Live to give that information to you in the near future, and it's not that far away. I'll let you know when I've arranged a date for that also. And I'm hoping that my colleague Eric will join me on that FB Live. So for this new moon, I strongly recommend that we get as much fresh air as possible. Even if you don't want to go out and face the world, then make sure you open your windows and allow for the fresh air to come in. Stick your head out the window even. Walk around your house barefoot for grounding. If you've got an area outside, then I'd recommend you go outside and, put your feet on the ground or on grass. That would be excellent. I know it's a bit cold in the northern hemisphere at the moment. But I still do that actually, even in the cold. Even when it's snowing, I still go out barefoot. I also recommend that we cleanse our sacred spaces, our homes. Of course, that's very important anyway at the moment with all the energies coming in. I suggest that we burn a white candle for purity, a yellow candle for clarity, and a light blue candle for spiritual peace. And if you can do all three, that would be great. I recommend the usual sage cleanse and frankincense and myrrh incense to bring in spiritual warmth. But I also recommend sandalwood. Sandalwood is actually my favourite incense. So if you'd like a change, then I'd recommend sandalwood or even lavender. But I'm sure a lot of you out there know your incenses. But most of all, I recommend breathing techniques and meditation because the energy is so intense. It creates a lot of nervous energy. Especially with Pallas in Virgo. Virgo is all about nervous energy. Uranus is all about nervous energy. And I just want to say, you Sagittarians, 13 star sign Sagittarians, I know you're under a lot of pressure too, with Saturn and Pluto in your sign. So I would definitely recommend breathing techniques for the Sagittarians out there. And the meditation I'd like to recommend for this new moon. And I'm really into Steve Noble's meditations at the moment. And he's got such a variety. So I'm going to try and promote one, on each moon energy update. And for this new moon, I recommend the Archangel Haniel transmission, which is about invoking new frequencies of peace, harmony, joy and love. But of course, once again, if you have your own source for meditations, then, please follow that. I'm just recommending these for people that, would like that recommendation. So I'm wishing you all well. I hope this podcast has been helpful. I am now going to get to work on the horoscopes and hopefully have them posted up for you all tomorrow. So, wishing you all peace and much love.